The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
A fatal mystery aboard a Carnival cruise ship is unfolding in Florida. Anna Kepner, an 18-year-old high school senior from Titusville, Florida, was found dead aboard the Carnival Horizon on November 8, 2025. Family and classmates remember her as a straight-A student, a cheerleader and gymnast who had recently completed military entrance testing and planned to enlist after graduation. Tonight, new details being reported about who found Anna and what the death scene looked like. Meanwhile, Brian Walsh seemed like he was a wealthy, successful businessman until he got caught up in a major art scam. The feds indicted him on charges of selling fake Warhol paintings. At the same time this was happening, his wife Anna was doing extremely well at work. She landed a lucrative position with a realty company that had her splitting her time between home with Brian and their 3 boys and Washington, D.C., where her employer was. The federal indictment and the commuting to work put a strain on their relationship. Then things went really bad when Anna seemingly vanished after New Year's Eve with friends in 2022 going into 2023. The investigation resulted in the arrest of Brian Walsh for the murder of Anna, and today, a moment no one saw coming in the courtroom as Brian Walsh makes some devastating admissions. We'll show you what happened. But first, Karen Read's story has become one of the most polarizing legal battles in Massachusetts history. Prosecutors accused her of striking her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her SUV and leaving him to die in the snow. Allegations she fiercely denied throughout her high-profile criminal trials. Read insists she was framed, pointing to what she believes is a cover-up inside the tight-knit Albert and McCabe households, where John O'Keefe was found. Now, after walking out of the courtroom after being found not guilty by a jury, Karen is headed back to court, filing sweeping civil lawsuits against the Alberts and McCabes and investigators, accusing them of defamation, conspiracy, and destroying evidence. How much more will be revealed about what happened the night John O'Keefe died? I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. This is going to be one jam-packed hour of true crime. Get ready. Let's begin. I'll never forget this scene. I was up there in Dedham, Massachusetts, outside the courthouse, waiting for the verdict in the Karen Read trial, surrounded by a sea of pink. Hundreds and hundreds of people wearing the color pink, all believing Karen Read was not guilty, all believing that she was being wrongfully prosecuted and framed for the murder of John O'Keefe. Then came the verdict, and the moment when Alan Jackson and Karen Read stepped out of that courthouse with this huge win. It's difficult to really talk about how big this was in the legal world. I mean, this is one that will be remembered for decades. Not just in Massachusetts, but across the country. This is one of those all-time wins that you always reference and you always talk about. And this one, I think, is a bit of a game changer because it was one, it's very unusual. It was one where the public sentiment was against the government. The public sentiment was with an accused murderer. And in the end, the accused murderer was set free. Extremely unusual, and also attacking and undermining perhaps future cases involving the government. There might be, I think, a raised level of skepticism in the public discussion and perhaps with jurors who were sitting down and listening to evidence in courtrooms. So this was a big, big case. And the defense won despite the fact that Judge Cannone kept out a lot of the evidence that the defense wanted to present. I mean, the case they presented wasn't exactly the case that they wanted to present to the jury. Judge Cannone kept out a lot of records, phone records, witnesses, testimony, and allegations that the defense wanted to put in front of the jury, but were unable to. So here we have a civil case that's now been filed by Karen Read. against the folks in that house and some of the investigators. And the question tonight really is, what will we learn? It's almost like unfinished business. Yeah, the trial's over, the verdict was not guilty, but there's still so many lingering questions. And what will we learn? It's a civil case, so people are going to be deposed. Records will be accessed that haven't been accessed before. People will have to testify if they're called to the witness stand. So let's go back to the trials. And the people who are being sued, many of them testified. I think all of them testified at either the first or the second trial. So what did they say? Take a listen.
The record is of a Google search at 2:27 a.m. on your phone. Is that right?
I'm not a phone expert, so I don't know. I can't read.
You're well aware. You don't have to be a phone expert to know that there was a Google search on your phone recovered at 2:27 in the morning. You know that. You've been told that. You've seen it. You've been asked about it dozens of times, haven't you?
I have been asked about it dozens of times, yes.
You see this first search that says Hospital to Dying Cold?
I do.
What's that time?
You've got the, it's right over at 2:27
AM or PM?
a.m.
So these came from me. From all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. She's a whack job.
Objection.
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass.
The fact of the matter is, you delivered that car to Canton PD to the Sallyport garage before a single piece of taillight material was ever found in this case. Trooper Proctor, is that correct?
Correct. It arrives at 5:31.
The defendant kissed me.
And how did she kiss you?
Not like a friend.
I inadvertently called Brian Higgins.
You say you inadvertently called him at 2:22 in the morning.
Yes.
How did you inadvertently call him?
Well, I don't know because it was inadvertent.
So I have to explain that, though.
Well, it's kind of like a butt dial.
So according to your phone records, you placed a call to him, and then 17 seconds later, he returned a call to you that lasted 22 seconds. Correct?
That's what the records reflect, yes.
I have no recollection of any phone calls.
Now, when you were asked about this, and you were shown these records, that prior hearing, you had an explanation for what that 22-second call may have been, and what the prior call may have been, correct?
Yes.
What was your explanation?
Well, I used a phrase that people commonly used as a butt dial.
I think I was going back and forth to the door. I was texting him. I think I put my phone in my pocket. I think I inadvertently maybe have called him.
What did you call it at the last hearing?
I believe I called it a butt dial.
In May of 2022, 4 months after Mr. O'Keefe's death, you got rid of your family dog of 6 years.
Objection.
So is that true? Is that when you got rid of your dog?
I did not get rid of my dog. I rehomed my dog.
You also took your phone, now without the SIM card, and you put that in the trash bag too, did you not?
Yes, sir.
Then you drove to a military base and you threw both the destroyed SIM card and the phone into a dumpster, did you not?
Well, I was cutting through the base, and I believe how I testified
Did you drive
was...
to a military base, sir?
I was cutting through a base, yes.
Did you drive to it?
Yes, sir.
And then you put both the destroyed SIM card and the phone itself, which were in a trash bag, into a dumpster on that military base, did you not?
I believe that's what I did, yes.
Did you tell those law enforcement agents on August 9th, 2023, that you saw Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz go into the Sallyport together and alone with the SUV for a wildly long time?
That was my recollection at the time.
I almost forgot about all this. I mean, how many butt dials were there? Okay, so let's get to the civil complaint. This is the lawsuit Karen Reed has now filed against many of these people. It reads, in part, in the early morning hours of January 29th, Mr. O'Keefe was killed in the defendants' Brian and Nicole Albert's home at 34 Fairview in an altercation during a late-night house party with other defendants after a night of heavy drinking. The House defendants responsible for Mr. O'Keefe's death, some of whom had professional experience with police investigations, concocted a plan immediately after the altercation to avoid culpability and to frame Karen Reed. Proctor and others shielded the House defendants by intentionally sidestepping fundamental investigatory procedures. Proctor reported in text messages just hours into the investigation that the House defendants weren't going to get any bleep for this because he, meaning Brian Albert, is a Boston cop. Proctor then went so far as to manufacture evidence to ensure that Ms. Reed, not his friends and fellow law enforcement officers, was to blame for Mr. O'Keefe's death. This included planting evidence at the scene. These are the allegations, folks. Take a look at the actual counts now. These are the counts of the complaint. Count 1, malicious prosecution under the Fourth Amendment. Count 2, supervisory liability. Count 3, conspiracy to deprive Ms. Reed of her Fourth Amendment rights. Count 4, Massachusetts Civil Rights Act. Count 5, common law malicious prosecution. Count 6, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Count 7, civil conspiracy. Now, finally, let me read the official statement to Court TV from Karen Reed's attorney, Alan Jackson. Get set. Today's filing speaks for itself. It is a meticulously documented civil action grounded in evidence, law, and the Constitution. For more than 3 years, Karen Reed was dragged through a baseless criminal prosecution engineered by individuals who abused their authority, manipulated the investigative process, and trampled her rights. Our complaint lays out in stark detail the malicious prosecution, the conspiracy, the civil rights violations, and the intentional misconduct that these defendants visited upon an innocent woman. If these defendants want to answer for that under oath, we welcome it. What we will not do is legitimize a threat to file some imaginary defamation case. That threat is nothing more than a desperate attempt by these defendants to distract the public from the very real legal jeopardy they now face. When people start waving around defamation claims to mask their own legal troubles, it tells you everything you need to know. They don't want sunlight, they want silence. Karen Reed spent years fighting for her freedom against a corrupted investigation. Now she's fighting for accountability. And unlike the criminal case, this time the defendants don't get to hide behind badges, back-channel favors, or manufactured narratives. They will have to answer in a court of law for every lie, every omission, every manipulated report, and every constitutional violation they committed. Karen Reed is not backing down. Our team is not backing down. Accountability is coming, and these defendants can threaten all the phantom lawsuits they want, but the truth doesn't flinch. Let's bring in our think tank. Criminal defense attorney, former head New Jersey County prosecutor Bob Bianchi, along with former police lieutenant trial attorney Rick King and national parenting and family relationship expert Dr. Sue Kornblut. Them's his fighting words coming from Alan Jackson. Why is this happening, and are we surprised? Who wants to start it? Bob, start us off.
Oh, boy. I just can't believe we're still talking about Karen Reed. I'm not going to lie to you, Vinny. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Are we talking about Karen Reed now, or are we talking about the investigators? Are we talking about the Alberts, the McCabes? Because that's the information we may get that we never got before.
Okay, so here's another thing, too. You can't hide behind the Fifth Amendment either. You're a plaintiff in a lawsuit. It's a completely different thing. I filed a lot of civil rights complaints against errant police officers and police departments. And while I think this investigation was a disgrace from a prosecutorial and police misconduct, the question is whether or not it's a viable 42 U.S.C. 1983 federal civil rights and Massachusetts civil rights violation, where there's all sorts of immunities that protect government entities, by the way, which aren't even sued here, shockingly to me.
Well, they will be. They made a claim, so they're going to file the suit against the police and the town and everything else. That's coming up.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say that here's my point. I've done this. The bottom line is dollars at the end of the day. And she's going to be subject to being cross-examined as well during the course of this case. And the issue is going to become whether or not the police department had a custom practice and policy of deliberate indifference. And the best thing the police department did was removing Proctor from its department because it shows it took affirmative action, because they will not indemnify a police officer who intentionally lies or intentionally does something wrong. The city's going to say, hey, we did what we could have done. He went outside the guidelines or the bounds. Go after him. And you know what about him? I'm betting he doesn't have a lot of money. That's all I got to say.
Typically, in every lawsuit, Vinny, what you're looking for is you're looking for a tortfeasor, and someone with the ability to pay. And that's what this comes down to. And I'm with Bob on that. Eventually, they're going to have to add the agencies because that's where the long money comes from. This lawsuit is filed because on some level, there's a money grab at the end. I also, like Bob, I thought maybe we were done with Karen Reed and this whole story, and I'm shocked that we're kind of back. However, I understand that the way that her lawyers responded and the way the lawsuit was written, it reads badly. However, there are allegations at this point that need to be proved.
To me, this is not about a money grab at all. And this is about Karen Reed, again, getting her time in court, getting the attention that she wants. And, we're never going to be done with Karen Reed because I think her ego is bigger than life. Now, I don't agree with the verdict. I just also didn't agree with the verdict of O.J. Simpson. But does she have the right to do this? Absolutely she does. And I think that we will see over time what is going to come out in the trial.
Well, what I want to know, Bob, I want to know what's going to come out in this case versus the criminal case, because there was so much evidence that was not allowed to come in, whether it's phone records between and amongst folks. And again, like you said, it goes both ways, right? It's going to go both ways. Mm-hmm. But I think, are we going to get closer to the truth through this case?
Yeah, I hate to talk about OJ. I'm going to the way back machine, but absolutely in a civil case, as a prosecutor, by the way, I used to love when there was a civil case because I knew through the vehicles of interrogatories and depositions and all the documents you're allowed to subpoena, there are very little and few objections that you can get in a civil case to getting much more information. I know it sounds odd than you can in a criminal case. So a lot more data is going to come out here for sure on both sides of the equation, but in particular for the plaintiff, for Karen Reed. She's going to get a lot more data and information. What the lawyers want to do is they want to tie in under a case called Beck versus the city of Pittsburgh. I'm trying not to impress you too much, Vinny, but bottom line here is under that case, they're trying to show that the police department knew that these police officers were temperamentally unfit, that they did not have an effective internal affairs process, and as a result of that, the constitutional errors to Karen Reed were because of the department's failures to properly supervise the police department. Stay tuned. That's exactly where they're headed.
Rick, this is, I think what everybody wants, everyone at home watching right now, everyone that got invested in this case, I think they all want the truth. Like, what happened to John O'Keefe? Will that question be answered here?
I don't know, Vinny, but here's what I do know. Something that you said in the leak.
Hey, they got to answer it.
How can we know that right now, man? We got to get these people on the stand and we got to talk. But here's what you said in the lead-in that leads into that question. In my lifetime, from the time that I was a cop till now working as a criminal defense attorney, from my lifetime, the pendulum has swung on the public's desire and ability, or not ability, but their belief in the testimony and the credibility of police officers standing on their own. That's changing. And when you put these officers on the stand, when they've already testified to all these little maybe sneaky or what appear to be sneaky or improper conduct offenses, man, that's going to look bad. And I think that she is counting on those little fires that they started in the criminal trial burning brighter and stronger in the civil trial.
They're going to settle the case because it's going to cost so much to litigate. They're going to throw a huge number out there. This case will never go to trial.
We're not going to get the truth. You guys are telling me we're not.
No, this is not about truth. It's just
it is
not.
For me.
We're never going to find the truth.
It is for me.
Well, okay, but I don't think we're going to get to it, because what is the truth really here? And I don't think that they did a good enough job on either side to prove what the truth really was. And so I think we're going to have a lot of problems discovering it here as well.
We're out of time for this segment.
You want the...
You have the truth for me, Bob?
You can't handle the truth.
I can handle the truth.
You want the truth? Vinnie, you want the truth? The Attorney General should step in, or the feds, and investigate the malfeasance and misconduct of the police officers. That's where you'll get the truth. You're not going to get it in a civil case.
All right. When we come back, same town, same courthouse, another trial. Brian Walsh, shocking moment today. We'll show you what happened, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates a mother's cross-country drive ends in heartbreaking mystery. Melody Buzzard vanished. Her mom won't speak, saying nothing about her daughter's location. Where is Melody? Tonight, we investigate.
The Court TV podcast will return.
At 4:55 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body starts to smell. At 4:58 a.m., how to stop a body from decomposing. At 5:20 a.m., he searched how to embalm a body. At 5:47 a.m., 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. At 6:25 a.m. on the 1st, how long for someone to be missing to inherit. At 6:34 a.m. on the 1st, can you throw away body parts? There were also more Google searches on January 2nd. At 12:45 p.m., hacksaw best tool to dismember. At 1:10 p.m., can you be charged with murder without a body? At 1:14 p.m., can you identify a body with broken teeth?
Last night on VPI, our 9 o'clock show, I was asking our guests, I said, how does the defense explain any of those Google searches? That's Brian Walsh, accused of murdering his wife who's never been found, talking about a decomposing body, getting a hacksaw, all these. How do you explain that, with a straight face in front of a jury? Well, today we got the answer to that. Jury selection starting in Brian Walsh's trial, and then this happened.
Tell me in your own words, sir, why are you here?
I'm here to plead guilty.
On those 2 counts?
Yes.
And you understand that your trial's starting today?
Yes.
On the first indictment? All right. Do you understand, sir, that you are pleading guilty to the following 2 indictments? Indictment 002, which charges willfully misleading a police investigation, a criminal investigation, in violation of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 268, Section 13B, and in Indictment 003, you are pleading guilty to, while not being lawfully authorized by proper authorities, willfully conveying away a human body or the remains thereof in violation of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 272, Section 71. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And have you talked to your attorneys about each of these 2 indictments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has counsel explained the elements of each of those 2 indictments that the Commonwealth would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand each indictment?
I'm sorry, what did you?
Do you understand each indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to defense counsel, have you explained the elements of each of the 2 offenses to your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to ask that the assistant of the Commonwealth, whoever wishes to do it, would tell me what the maximum and minimum sentences are. And I don't believe there are any mandatory minimum sentences, but you can tell me if there are.
There are no mandatory minimum sentences, Your Honor. The maximum sentence on count 2 is 10 years unless the investigation is into a capital offense, and then it is a 20-year sentencing enhancement, up to 20 years. On count 3, it is up to 3 years in state prison.
Thank you. I make the following findings. I find that the defendant is not presently under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and that he isn't reported that he's not presently suffering from any mental illness or condition, and that he's not presently taking any medications. I find that the defendant understands the nature of the charges and the consequences of his pleading guilty. I find that the defendant's change of plea to guilty with respect to each of the two indictments, 02 and 03, is made knowingly, willingly, intelligently, and voluntarily, and with the full knowledge of its consequences. I find that the defendant's change of plea on these two indictments to guilty is made upon and with the advice of competent counsel, and I find there's a factual basis in the evidence as been summarized by the prosecution and limited by defense counsel on behalf of the defendant for each of the two indictments to which the defendant now pleads guilty. Accordingly, I accept Mr. Walsh's plea of guilty as to indictments 002 and 003.
What does this mean now? He's pleaded not guilty to murder, but guilty to lying to the police and getting rid of her body. Rick.
Bad play. That's a bad play. I mean, ultimately now you got to try to keep that stuff out, but I mean that's almost never going to happen. I mean, what are you going to claim? You're going to claim 403. You're going to say, hey, this is prejudicial. It's not relevant. It's irrelevant. You can't. It comes in as conscience and guilt. It's going to drop right on the table. I don't know how you get around it now. I felt better.
It's brilliant.
That stuff in and let's put fires in other places.
It's brilliant.
It's a good idea.
It's a brilliant legal move, and I'm going to tell you why. The suspicious prosecutor in me says, why would a defendant do this? Because it's so devastating. And so I got to start being creative. I'm going to assume the defendant's not an idiot, and I'm going to assume the lawyer's not an idiot. And why would this happen? Well, they got to still prove he committed murder, a knowing and purposeful act. Let's think about defenses here. Maybe passion provocation, maybe self-defense, maybe after all that he needed to get rid of the body. But I'm going to tell you a nugget that I found. If it's true, and I don't know, it could explain all the internet searches, so on and so forth. She took an insurance policy out where she died. He stood to inherit, I believe it is $2.7 million. Don't hold me to it, Vinny. Maybe we're going to listen in opening statements. Yeah, he dismembered the body. Yeah, he got rid of it because she killed herself, and he was afraid he wasn't going to inherit the money because there's an exclusion in the insurance policy.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. No way. That's a great movie script, but I don't think that's what's going on here. Look, what I think happened here is that there's three reasons why this is happening. One, he needed the money, so he killed her. Two, he wanted to get rid of her because he cheated. She cheated on him. And three, he just wanted to keep her quiet because he probably knew so much about what he was doing that was illegal.
Wait.
And number four, all the text messages that he was doing on his child's device, so he thought he wouldn't get caught. Come on.
Dr. Sue, wait a second. You're talking about what you believe the truth to be. I'm talking about what a defense is going to be in a courtroom. They are two. If you believe the courtroom is a place for the truth, then I don't know what to say.
I'm talking about what smart jury members are going to think when they see all of this and put the pieces of the puzzle together. You don't need to be a genius to figure this one out.
But as a defense lawyer, you got to dance with the one you brought. You've got to have an explanation. And I'm telling you, it may not be the truth.
Good luck. Good luck.
I'm going on record right now to tell you, if I ever get in trouble, Bianchi's my guy. That is my guy.
So let's unpack this just a little bit. So not going to point the finger at somebody else, like there's like a third party involved here. It's either got to be something less than murder, some sort of tragic accident or passion provocation, or she took her own life.
Here's the only problem,
passion provocation.
The amount of lies that he has told police leading up to this right now, it really belies anything that he might come up with to say she killed herself. If she killed herself, why did you lie about your mom? Why did you lie about going to Home Depot or the Home Depot store? Why did you make all these lies? Why were you some places that you weren't supposed to be while you're on pre-sentence probation? Why are all these lies? Why are these obstacles? The only answer that I think is unfortunately, for the defendant in this case, is he killed her.
Yeah.
And they're going to bring all these things in. I imagine right now.
Where's any evidence that
wait a second.
she killed herself? Where?
He'd have to testify. Wouldn't he have to testify?
Giving away possession.
Oh,
Yes. Like in every look, guys, I am not saying it's the truth. Please, I don't want to get a 1,000 emails and texts and tweets. I'm telling you, as a defendant and as a former homicide prosecutor, I've got to think about why are they doing this? And I'm telling you, I'll bet you an ice cream soda, you're going to hear that there was a passion provocation, self-defense, suicide, and I freaked out and I needed to get rid of the body. And woe is me, I admitted to what I did. I pled guilty, mea culpa, but I didn't kill her. I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen here.
And he'll probably say no one would ever believe me because they're going after me for these fake war halls.
I imagine.
That's a good question. Whether that could.
I imagine big poster board posters of each one of those Google searches stacked up around the courtroom as the prosecutor is laying this case out.
But then he turns around and says, yeah, I did it. I admitted I did it. I told the judge I did it. Right? I'm being honest with you, folks.
Guys,
but he's got to testify, right, Bob?
I absolutely.
Yes, in those kind of instances, he's got to testify. And by the way, may I add, he would not, I'm not saying it's the truth, but there have been people who have dismembered bodies, desecrated corpses that we've prosecuted that weren't the person who murdered the individual. So the prosecution, if you're a good prosecutor, you're not laughing at this. You're like, I got to take this seriously, and I've got to think about where they're going. And I'm telling you, I'll come back here next week.
It could be like a Durst situation. Durst. Got rid of the head.
I got to get your card.
Got rid of the head. All right. Everyone's staying where they are. When we come back, we've got new details in the mysterious death of a teenager who was on a ship, on a Carnival cruise with her family, and it's going to absolutely floor you tonight.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
In the process, my oh my, how those ships have continued to be amazing fun machines. Our secret sauce? Combining the pure awesomeness of our ships with team members from all over the globe who know how to make the 1 gazillion experiences you can have on a Carnival ship unforgettable.
Carnival cruises are fun. People enjoy them. I mean, it's like the time of your life. You go there, woo! You know, it's lots of fun. You're out at sea. And for Anna Kepner, 18-year-old high school senior from Florida, it was supposed to be a great trip. She went with her dad, siblings, stepmom, and her children, and it was like a very Brady cruise for this family. But it turned very tragic because Anna Kepner was found dead on that ship. And we've got some more details tonight. First, from the Daily Mail. The body of a high school cheerleader found dead on board a Carnival cruise ship was found wrapped in a blanket and stuffed under a bed. Wrapped in a blanket, stuffed under a bed. Sources have now told Daily Mail that Anna complained of feeling unwell on the evening of the 6th while she was eating dinner and headed back to her cabin. When her dad, Christopher, and stepmom, Chantel, gathered the family for breakfast the next day, there was no sign of the bubbly, popular teenager. They began searching the $800 million Panama registered ship, but it was eventually a maid who stumbled across Anna's body when she entered the cabin to service it around 11 a.m. on the 7th. Two sources who spoke with the Daily Mail under condition of anonymity say the pretty youngster was found wrapped in a blanket, covered over with life jackets, and stuffed under a bed. Okay, that's not like food poisoning, I got sick or anything. And by the way, Carnival Cruise has issued a statement saying, listen, the ship is safe, it's out at sea again, the FBI cleared it, there's no threat, there's no safety threat on that ship, right? Now, get ready. Are you sitting down? Please sit down. ABC News is now reporting that a minor may face criminal charges in connection with the death of Anna Kepner aboard a Carnival Horizon cruise ship, according to a new filing in an unrelated family court matter. Chantel Hudson, that's the stepmom, Anna's stepmother, who who was also on the cruise along with her children, and Anna's father, requested a delay in her custody hearing because of one of her minor children may face criminal charges, according to the filing. The respondent has been advised through discussions with FBI investigators, remember the FBI is investigating the death of Anna, and her attorneys, that a criminal case may be initiated against one of the minor children of this instant action. The filing stated any testimony the respondent may give, either written or oral, could be prejudicial to her or her adolescent child in this pending criminal investigation. Therefore, the respondent cannot be compelled to testify. Did you follow that? So stepmom is in some sort of, in family court in a custody hearing, trying to put that on hold because there's an investigation into one of her children, an investigation involving the FBI and criminal charges. The FBI is investigating the death of Anna, her stepdaughter. I mean, you know, it's not really reading between the lines. It's like, is one of her stepbrother or stepsister, I think it's stepbrother, a suspect in her death? Let's bring in the think tank. Bob Bianchi, Rick King, Dr. Sue Kornbluth with us. Dr. Sue, you're shaking your head already. This is going to be devastating.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear about that from ABC until tonight when you just told us, and that brings up a lot of questions about what was going on in this blended family. Do they know that one of these children had violent tendencies? Did they know that there was difficulty between these two kids? So on and so on. I mean, I think there has to be a big investigation done here looking at this family in a whole and for justice here for this young girl. But something does not smell right here. And I think it's going to come out that you're going to see that there possibly was violence that was going on or something, and maybe there was a connection between one of the kids and her that we just don't know about. The other thing that concerns me, Vinny, is was there video cameras on this ship to find out if where she was after she left? Was she walking? Was somebody following her? Who was it? I mean, I would go to the lawyers on this one. I want to understand what they think about that.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Rick.
I actually just got off a cruise, Vinny, and one of the things that I thought about when I saw this story was there were cameras everywhere. There's no way that they didn't know when she left that family on the 6th where she went and who possibly went with her, and there was going to be they were going to know who was involved in this right away. I had no doubt about that. Now, what I didn't have was it was going to be one of her family members. That you kind of blew me away with that right now. I was that wasn't anything that I expected to show up, but I did know that there was going to be cameras, and because those boats are just full of them, so I knew they were going to have that.
Yeah, you know, I vacation. This is like maybe TMI, and I'm only kidding, so I'll preface this, but I do vacation every year on a cruise ship with my 12 in-laws. So it's kind of like a floating prison for me. But what I did learn in all the years, now I'm only kidding about, is there cameras? And my question was, is there forcible entry into the cabin? And if there is no forcible entry into the cabin, that would lead me to conclude that this was, because I think these ships are dangerous. Not that Carnival itself. I just think in general that this is somebody that was invited into the room, which would mean either she just met the person, but she had just left dinner because she didn't feel well, which led me to the conclusion maybe somebody she knows and that's close with her. So there'll be a lot of DNA. There'll be a lot of trace evidence. Hopefully that's been preserved properly, and they're going to get to the bottom of it, because I do agree with my two colleagues here that there'll be videos all over the place.
Yeah, the bottom line, this is devastating to a family. Something like this is absolutely devastating to the family, and our thoughts are with all of them tonight, and hopefully we get to the truth of what is happening here. Obviously, we'll stay on top of it. It's a federal investigation, federal jurisdiction, so okay. Big thanks tonight. Bob Bianchi, Rick King, Dr. Sue Kornbluth, big stories, great guests. It worked perfectly. Thank you so much. We've got a quick programming note. We're learning more about the Alec Murdaugh murder case from one of the people who lived it, his housekeeper, Blanca Simpson. She testified at the trial. I'll never forget that testimony. Now she is speaking to Court TV's Julie Grant about her book, The Murders and the Murdaughs, Dog Bubba.
What's his name, Blanca?
His nickname is Bubba.
Bubba. Oh, this is Bubba. Oh, look at sweet Bubba. Oh, my goodness.
Do not miss that interview tomorrow morning. Opening statements with Julie Grant, 8 a.m. Eastern. Now, when we come back, something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, she set out on a simple road trip with her 9-year-old daughter, but only one came home. Melody is missing. Ashley, her mother, will not speak. Why isn't she talking about where her daughter is? Tonight, we investigate.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Change of venue denied. That is for Lindsay Clancy up in Massachusetts, accused of murdering her 3 young children, then jumping out of a window. She can no longer walk, and that's one of the reasons her attorney is upset. Here's Kevin Reddington in court.
She has not been convicted. She is still presumed innocent. She is still a citizen of this country. She is therefore an American. She has a clear and present, despite what others may think, disability that is debilitating. It is daily. It is 24/7. She lives with that as a paraplegic. Your Honor can well imagine the medical issues that are involved. She needs help with day-to-day personal issues. She needs help, regardless of the sheriffs thinking, no, we can throw some guy from the medical department, like a veterinarian, and throw him in the back of a van and make sure that the van doesn't have cockroaches running around in it. We can chain it to the floor, and then we can bring her into the courthouse. We can run her through the Sally Port, and we can keep her in the jump cell. My suggestion to the court, when I filed the motion requesting that there be an accommodation under the Americans with Disabilities Act. I don't care if I filed it with the wrong place. As far as I'm concerned, this is the right place, right here before you. As an American with a disability, she is entitled to the protection of the federal law, regardless of the Plymouth County Sheriff's Office position.
It's one of the big facts in the case, right? She jumps out of the window, now she's paraplegic, and the question is, how are they going to coordinate and handle all this? And then what happens at trial when she comes into the courtroom in front of the jury? It's a big case. We'll be covering it here on Court TV. Right now, though, I need you to take a look at your screens because we have a missing child who needs your help. This is Denaria Thomas. Denaria is missing from Rock Island, Illinois, 17 years old. Take a look at the picture. If you see Denaria, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. You can call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Rock Island Police Department in Illinois. That phone number is on the screen for you right now. Let's see if we can get Denaria to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids. There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.